What up? This is your boy DJ EFN. You might know me as a drink champ, but first and foremost, I'm a proud father. I linked up with two of my other dad homies, Manny Digital and KGB, to start the Fatherhoods podcast. Each week, we bring you insider hip-hop stories, parenting, and advice and therapy. The saying is true, it takes a village, and we humorously serve as each other's trusted counsel in figuring out how not to screw up being a good dad.
The Fatherhood Podcast. Beats, rhymes, and diapers.
Welcome back to the Fatherhoods.
Yep, now we're two again. Well, you guys were two again last week, right?
I know, yeah, and I opened with the same thing. I sang the same bar at the same time. It was
You're so consistent, though.
Yeah, but so bad. It's just so bad. So I before we got on, I was just telling E, I celebrated a birthday recently, and my wife and kids took me out to a steak place.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank
Belated
you.
now, but
Thank you. So I had an awesome tomahawk steak, and you were saying something very interesting, being that you're
a pescatarian.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, which everybody finds hilarious. I don't know
why.
I mean, I don't know. I don't fit the criteria of vegetarian or pescatarian or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I get it.
But
I've been seeing a lot of husky vegetarians out there. So like,
well, you think about it. If you go vegan or vegetarian, you don't manage your diet right, you're gonna end up eating a lot of carbs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But whatever. The point is, I've been a pescatarian now. I've lost count, bro, but I keep saying 15 years. But I feel like it might be more, but like 15 years. And it's no sweat off my back.
Can you just tell the people what prompted you to make that change? What was that deciding factor?
At the time, a lot of shit was going on in my life at that time with business and different things. And I was trying to get shit in order. And I was like, one of the things I could get in order is, at least my health to an extent. And so, I also was
coming from a drink champ. That's hilarious.
It was before drink champs.
I know, but I'm saying present day.
So, and I was like, also I was, being kind of like the I don't want to say the boss, but like the leader of my crew, or, expecting to lead people and be an example to a group of people. You're just like, man, you got to get your health right. If you can't, if you don't have that, like what kind of example are you? Yeah. So whatever. I went on this journey where I started exercising regularly, which was something I didn't do at all, which that was crazy. I started doing CrossFit, which I still do. And then I started to look at how, like, diet wise, what could I do to eat better? Because I knew everybody knows that really you could exercise all you want, but if your diet is terrible, your health is going to be you're
running in place.
Right. So I had read a book that's funny enough that Nori gave me or recommended, called Skinny Bitch. Which was hilarious coming from him. So I'm like, it just coming from him, and I forgot who, somebody else referred it to, some other artist referred it to him. Okay. And so he's like, yo, and I'm like, this is just so outrageous, the sound of it. Like, hey, Noriega's referring this book about health, Skinny Bitch, to you. And then I was like, I gotta check this out. And I read it, and it was like two model chicks that wrote this book about, like, eating healthy and GMOs and carbs and stuff like that. And that made a lot of sense, all the shit they said in it. Because the way that the models speak in the book, they speak like they curse. They just talk like regular slang almost. And so it's easy to I don't know, like, understand from their point of view. Whatever. Right. Read that book. Watched a documentary called Food Inc. Mm-hmm. And that really got me on the whole thing about meats in this country. And I started to, I ate a lot of chicken. I already was kind of not, like, I ate pause. I ate meat, but I already knew for some reason, I always felt like you correlate meat with, like, cholesterol or I don't know. Just meat to me, always, if you had too much of it, you knew that it was not that good for you to have a lot of it. So you would eat the white meats, like the chickens, the turkeys, and stuff like that, poultry. And I ate a lot of that. But in that movie, they talk about how, like, how they inject all these steroids into all these animals, including chickens, how they butcher them, and how the hormones and I might have saw other movies after that, but that really put me on the path of like, all right, I don't want to eat meat anymore because unless you're eating like this free range animal that isn't getting any of these chemicals into it, these hormones, then you're eating all these hormones, you're eating fear hormones, you're eating all this crazy crap. So boom. Then I got into fasting also. I was already into fasting, so I started fasting and I love fasting.
Mhm.
And the what fasting does, and really this is too much of a tangent for fatherhood right now, but what fasting does is that it allows you to reprogram your mental with your physic, with your body health, and it allows you to like basically you're like a drug addict, and what's the word I'm looking like you're purging your system of this addiction,
Mhm.
and you go through like what is that called when people go through
Recovery phase.
not recovery when you're going through bro my brain is
Menopause. You went
I
through
need to go
menopause.
I need to fast to get my brain back on track right now. But
Yeah, a
anyways,
cleanse. You kind of reset.
yeah, but we're addicted to these chemicals and these foods that we eat because all these foods we eat are GMO foods,
Mhm.
and they're engineered to have us addicted. Facts. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying?
Yep.
Down to the marketing, down to the chemical composition of the food. And you haven't heard that they made the chips sound louder and crackle louder because they say that sense of hearing it makes you want to eat more of them,
Damn.
right? So fasting allows you to get rid of all that and kind of restart. And when you come out of fasting, you're so you're so hungry for food again that as long as you don't have to eat that food, you purge that addiction. So now like whole foods, soups and salads and things that aren't necessarily GMO or have a lot of GMO in them, now they taste amazing to you and they feel good. And then you can say to yourself, if you want to go on a specific type of diet, going back to the original question, if you want to be a vegetarian or vegan or pescatarian, you could do that a lot easier after you fast for a certain amount of time because you've purged all the addiction. So you could decide what you want to do. And I knew I wasn't going to do vegan, even though I thought for a second I might try that. Vegetarian seemed like, okay, I could do that. But then my body did long for protein. And that's where I ended up with pescatarian. I felt that
Gotcha.
was the healthier option in the landscape of meat products out there, of animal products. And here I am today. So,
15,
anyways,
15 plus years. That's
yeah,
pretty big.
going back, and then back then, because someone would be like, "Motherfucker, you look like you've been eating a lot of meat too." Back then, at that time frame, no kids, pre-drink champs. Um, I definitely my health. I got it super on track. I had lost mad weight back then, and I was doing really well. Not to say that my health is terrible right now, but it's different from back then. Like it
Yeah.
did work, and I just never felt the need to go back. I felt like if my body is okay without meat, then why go back to meat? Like why add that to the menu? Meat or chicken or anything like that. So that's where I'm at now. But my kids nowadays, as they're growing up, they eat everything.
Yeah.
And my wife is not a pescatarian, so they'll eat hamburgers, steaks, chicken, a lot of chicken, all the different meats, and they're always like looking at me as they've been growing up, like, why is Daddy eating something different? Or Dad, here, have a bite of this. And I'm like, no, 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 thank you, you know. And they're just like they feel like I'm rejecting them. And my daughter the other day was like, here, please have it for me. Come on, you won't have a bite for me. Try it, just one bite for me. And I'm like, no, 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 no,
Super
no.
guilt trip.
And yeah, and so then I was thinking, well, maybe one of these days, because I do crave it from time to time. I'm like, I should have like a once every 6 months, like or once a year, have a meat holiday
Yeah.
pause
Yeah.
where, and I don't know, I don't say pause, but for the pausers out there, I'm
For
hooking
the
you up.
pausers.
Yeah, I don't need to pause. I'm securing myself, but yeah, maybe I should have a meat holiday and then the kids can enjoy me eating meat or eating the pepperoni slice or whatever. So
Yeah. I
so
mean,
that's the long version of what you asked me.
it's a good. No, I think the context is important for people that aren't familiar. But I think anything that you're too strict with in general usually doesn't necessarily end up as a good thing, right? But giving yourself some of that liberty, especially if it is something that you find yourself gravitating toward mentally, it's probably not gonna. I mean, it's definitely not gonna kill you, especially because if you're gonna do it at one time, you're probably gonna seek the
That's the thing.
highest quality thing.
It's individual personality trait. Like for me, the reason why I don't partake at all is because I've eliminated that. I need to keep to that. Now, I'm not so crazy that if I eat something and all of a sudden find out it had chicken broth or there was a
Right.
piece of ham, I'm not gonna like melt and go, oh! Like I'm not gonna go crazy. It is what it is.
Yeah,
But I'm not gonna consciously say, yeah, let me eat that today.
that's not your
Because I think
intention.
once I open that can of worms, and I'm like, whatever, I'm back on it.
Oh, okay. So
So
you
I'm just
you almost
like,
have to keep it like that.
yeah, I'm just riding with it for as long as possible, and if, like I said, if my health is decent enough, and there's nothing that points to like, you know, it hurts me or helps me, in any
Yeah,
way that I don't need it, I just feel like why go back to it,
yeah. Good for you,
you know.
bro.
And I tell people too because people be like, oh, it's not about. Sometimes it's the act of doing something you think is healthy for you, you know. It's like mentally, you're like, hey, I do it because whatever. I think it's one thing I can do to counter all the other things I don't do
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So
It's a balance.
right.
Um, so let me tell you. So this is hilarious. And you're a ways away. I don't even know if they do this. They didn't do it when I was growing up. So I'm curious to hear if you've ever heard it.
Okay.
You ever heard of this thing in high school, senior year of high school, called senior assassins?
No, I thought you were gonna say like skip day or something like that.
No. So
Senior
it's
assassins?
apparently it's this thing, and it's not just where I live. It's all over the country. I don't know it to be something that they do in the inner city because I think I might have heard about it, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe it's a suburb thing. I don't know. So the way it works is, and the whole school is involved. I mean, like the administration is involved. Like this is like sanctioned
It's
by
a
the
bad
schools.
name for something that the
It's,
school's involved in
it's terrible.
with all the school
But
shootings.
yeah, even worse. So basically, what happens is, and maybe they change it every year, but the senior class gets to participate in a hunt, right? Of each other. They can volunteer to participate.
I have heard of this.
Have you?
Makes no sense. Didn't make sense to me then.
Yeah.
I think we might have talked about this at some point.
I don't remember. I've never heard this before. Like
Or
this.
maybe one of my friends with their kids. I don't know, but I have heard of this and didn't never understood it though. So
So
go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
it's new to me, right? So my daughter's a senior. She's graduating this year. So this is now the time of year when they're doing this.
I know where I heard it. Go ahead.
Okay. And then so the senior class can volunteer to participate. Those that decide to participate, I think they have to chip in a certain amount of money, and then there's a
Mhm.
pot.
Yep.
And at the end of this, however many weeks, whoever's left standing either wins it outright or they split it. Whoever's left. And the goal, the thing is, everybody's got. In her case, there's like a clip, like a clothespin clip, and you have a name on it, and that name is your target. So now, over the span of several days, in her case, I think it goes on for like 2 weeks. You have that much time to go clip your target, right? And they don't know it's you. You only know that you're the person that has to get them. And then they have all these like things that they throw in the way, right? So like there's rules. So you can't clip people while they're in school or at their job. Outside of school, you have to wear a construction vest in order for you to kind of have the force field essentially as you're moving around.
Wait,
If you
if you wear they can't clip you.
They can't, yeah, it doesn't count. But if you take it off for whatever reason and they catch you slipping, they can clip you. They call a purge. It feels like every day they call a purge where all bets are off. Like no matter what the deal is, they can get you. There's like on the weekends you can hit somebody with a water gun and the clip if you want, so you can catch them from long range if you catch them, whatever. So
It doesn't sound productive for
yo,
people.
you like as I'm seeing my daughter participate in all the she
Does she like it? Is she enjoying it?
she's having fun, but there's
Oh,
a lot of anxiety.
of
Like
course.
so she sent us a video. She came home from school today. She sent us a video. She got her target finally. So now this has been a build up for like almost 2 weeks now. And she finally comes home. She gets her target. They have to videotape it. So she sends me the video.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with this.
Yo. And it's so funny because, you catch people slipping. They don't know it's you. So you get that full reaction in the video. It was hilarious. So the kid that she got happens to be one of her good friend's boyfriend. And her friend knew that my daughter was the assassin, essentially, for her boyfriend. So now there's like a little bit of a tiff because like he knows that his girlfriend knew who it was.
He's beefing with the girlfriend.
It sounds like there might be.
Yeah,
I
feel like this
something.
could cause beef with people.
My daughter was outside of the dude's house, tucked behind a garbage can, waiting for him to come out to then jump at him and clip him. I'm like, y'all are asking like in the wrong state. Y'all gonna get bucked down. Like this ain't. So a neighbor called the cops on her and like was telling her, I called the cops. You need to leave. And my daughter was like, oh shit. And she ran in the car with her friend and dipped. But even the cops are in on it here. Like they know this is the thing. So they're like, we're not gonna respond to no, calls for this shit because we know how it goes. And I guess there hasn't ever been an issue. So, but if this happened in the Bronx, bro, there'd be all sorts of problems.
If there's a pot to, well, listen. Now I remember where I heard it.
Yeah.
In my gym. Funny enough, there was a teenager that was working out in the gym, and all of a sudden he started coming with a couple of his friends to our classes, and I'm like, and one of them looked like an out of shape dude that would not want to at that age be in a gym.
Right.
And they were always looking outside and they were always like on the bicycle, like looking. And then finally, like, I'm talking to them and the dude's like, yeah, I'm hiding out. And I'm like, what do you mean you're hiding out? Yeah, and I'm hiding my friends. Really, they're hiding out more than me. I think the guy said I already got God or something.
Yeah.
But my friends, and they're in my car, so they don't see their car in front of the gym, and they would never think to come to the gym for this guy.
Bro.
And then I'm like, what? And I didn't understand it. They're like explaining it to me, and they're all like looking outside, like all carefully. And then a bunch of moms that work out there, they're like, oh yeah, you don't know what that is? Oh yeah, every year, boo boo, the senior class, and they're explaining to me. And one's a teacher. She's like, oh yeah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
No, So I'm looking at it at first. I'm just like poo pooing it. I'm like, yo, this shit is dumb. You guys are a bunch of idiots. And then I hear my daughter talking strategy. I'm like, that's not gonna work. You're gonna get shot. Oh, I'm like being the biggest hater. And finally, I'm just like, all right, she's having fun. Everybody's in on it. Let me just fall back. And now I'm just like egging her on. Like the other day, we get in the car together to go get food, and she's like explaining it all to me and like getting really hyped about it. I'm like, all right, let me hope.
So, okay, does one person win or do a couple people? Because I can't imagine everybody gets clipped.
So they set it up like because there's one person that kind of sent. So they're all in a group chat, a group text. And that one person who happens to be the valedictorian of the senior class is the one that's basically like pulling all the strings so that.
Wait, how many people are in a group chat?
Hundreds.
In a group chat?
Because that's where you have to prove that you got
right.
Person.
Okay.
And then the person that your person was supposed to get is now your. It's not for you to go get.
Right.
So
that's your target now.
Right. So over time it whittles down, and then it gets to a small enough group. I think they're trying to end it by a certain date because then you got other stuff with the school that they have to take care of. So he kind of accelerates things and makes things more complicated or easier for people to get got. And then if you don't get your target by a certain date, you're out. So this, you can't just hide out and be like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So it's mad, like now that when I'm like embracing it, like it's mad fun. I could see how fun it is. And I'm like, damn, bro, if this was me, if it was I was her right now, I'd be on some super strategy shit and be catching people slipping everywhere. Like, cause you used to play paintball. So this kind of stuff is like right up your alley. If
right.
You're into that kind of stuff.
Well, people used to go around the kids bucking paintballs at random people, which was foul as hell.
That's different.
But what's funny is as you're saying this, I'm so delusional that I'm like, yeah, bro, when I'm a senior, I'm looking forward to this. Like in my mind, I'm gonna have a second chance at doing this. I guess in my
I
next life, buddy.
I kind of wish I did, man, because now I'm looking at it, I'm like, yo, this is like, and it's coordinated. It's like good fun.
Right,
People are
right.
stressed though. Don't get me wrong. Like these kids are like, oh my god.
You know what this sounds like to me? It sounds like the school is trying to replace all the foul shit that kids used to do, like paintball guns or egging people or the National Skip Day where there's a party and they do drugs and they're messing around. Like they're probably trying to replace that with something that they can kind of like oversee, have a little bit more control over, but the kids, the teenagers still get that same exhilaration and feeling like they're doing something kind of wrong, but it's
Yeah,
not because it's sanctioned.
yeah,
That's what it
yeah,
sounds like. They've created that atmosphere for them to have their last hurrah as seniors and act like a bunch of kids, you know?
yeah, and do it together too, because like the stories that come from all this stuff. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's an
remember when I got you
experience.
like this and all
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah,
funny you
just
say
like grad night would be for did she have grad night?
she is coming up. Yeah,
I
I didn't have that when I
I got excluded. I got arrested right before it. And I was so, bro, I was hurt. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to even afford it though, to be honest with you, to be able to
yeah.
go.
Well, that's why I didn't go.
But I was hurt because my best friend and my homies, they all went, and I heard, all the stories, and to think that the whole class going and hanging
Yeah,
out at Disney at night and just the craziness, and I heard and I was like, man,
you had the FOMO from hell.
bro, I was so upset, man. I literally got roped up like the week before, and they said
Oh,
you're not eligible to go anymore.
you were a senior in high school. You was getting cuffed up.
Yeah, man. It was
Yeah,
some, yeah,
son.
young EFN, man. It was
Yeah.
different, young, different EFN.
So you mentioned something that I think is hilarious. So I'm used to people cutting school and in high school and planning it with your crew that you're gonna skip school with, but
Yeah.
not like with the school administration.
Right, right.
Yo, these kids, bro, they got sanctioned skip days.
Nah.
Yes, bro. It's the wackest shit ever. I'm like,
What kind of messaging is that to the kids? I don't get that. I don't get
so
that.
my daughter, I don't know what the hell the thought is behind it, but my daughter goes, "Oh, I gotta tell my teacher that I'm skipping school because we have senior skip day." I'm like, that defeats the purpose. She's like, "No, I can't miss my test, and if she gives out homework, that I can't." I'm like, "That's cool that you're responsible. So why are you skipping? What
All right.
you gotta? There's a give and take here." Like, no, it's okay. This is how we do it. I'm like, yo, this is so whack, man.
Again, it's probably them saying they're gonna
Yeah.
do it under the radar, and bad things can happen under the radar. Let's sanction it. Let's let them be, their last hurrah again. Like, let them do it.
Yeah,
I get it, man,
and they're
but
not drinking 40s in the park.
no, not
They
at
they
all.
go to the ice cream shop and it's like,
Yeah, they're not
oh,
smoking doobies and blunts and drinking MD, Mad Dog
Mad
2020.
Dog
Like,
2020. No,
yeah, no, it's
oh,
not
man.
going down like that.
It's a whole different world, bro. It's so different. I'm thankful because it's like a safer environment.
Well,
That's kind
in
of the
some
point.
places, I'm sure in some
I mean,
areas they're
here,
still
yeah,
doing all the wild shit.
yeah, but it's just so funny to me, and I get caught up in the whole like, yo, this is y'all being soft or whatever. But like at the end of the day, like I don't want my kids having to deal with the shit I had to deal with in that environment. So like, this is what it is.
Yo, on a couple of fatherly things this is random different things, but they're fatherly. So we had a big event this past weekend.
Oh yeah, how'd that go?
Yeah, Cinco de Dade. It was cool, man. It was real cool. We had like I think about 3,000 people showed up.
Damn.
Yeah, it was with
Wait, this was a Crazy Hood production?
it was only in Dade and in collaboration with Crazy Hood and a bunch of people were involved. It was really like bringing like a bunch of different entities from the city together to do like a big event.
Only in Date is that IG channel that
Yeah, they're a
IG
media
page.
company. Yeah, like the guy, the Cuban guy who's on SNL now.
Yeah.
He comes from only in Dade. He's from there, like
He's
ecosystem.
Cuban Dominican though, right? Don't forget that part.
Even better. He doesn't even come off as fully Cuban. He's a cool dude though, and he's hilarious. but that accent he puts is like, yo, bro,
Yeah,
you
extra.
wildin'. Yeah,
So he came out of that crew.
he came out of that crew, and like like they do a lot of like the comedy stuff, so they'll have people that go on behalf of Only in Dade and they clown, and they have comedians,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
they
dope.
create this ecosystem, and he came out of that. Like there's all his early stuff, you see him on Only in Dade interviewing and just talking shit with people in the streets.
Wow.
But and they're a big local media brand, IG, whatever, whatever. So it was it was their thing in collaboration with us, and us basically hosting it with George Masvidal,
Yeah.
Jorge Masvidal.
Former UFC
Um,
fighter.
yeah, him, and he has a brand called Trio Five, which is a cannabis brand.
Nice.
Um, and the local improv, they sanctioned inside the venue. They had like some comedians doing a roast with each other.
Oh wow.
So it was dope. It was dope. Like I said, like around 3,000 people. It was a block party. We had food trucks on the streets, tents by local vendors, and we had two stages, one in the back that I controlled fully, and then the front, which I had also people performing in the front, and we hosted in the front.
Yeah, that's
But
dope. I'm
typically
mad
I
I
would,
missed it, bro. I
yeah,
missed it by a
no,
few
you missed
days.
it. Typically I wouldn't have my kids at events because I don't feel comfortable with the kids,
Of course.
being around. But my wife decided, she said fuck it, and she just showed up with the kids just early on, But
I
it
mean, it
started
was a
like,
day event, right?
well, 6 to 1.
Oh, okay.
So no, it was a night event, but it started, it was starting the day, and she came by with them, which all right, now that they're there, cool. Like I like them, I like them to see me in my environment and the things that I do. But at the end of the day, I'm very protective of the kids.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of people got to see them that had never seen my kids, which pros and cons for me. And but what was cool is I brought them on stage while my boy was spinning, so they get behind the turntables, they see him DJing, and they get on stage. And to them that's a cool little experience. And then they were revamping. Remember, I had a mural there at Lincoln's Beard.
Yeah.
Well, they put some bleachers in front of it, so it kind of ruined my mural. But they were like, they told me before they did it, they were like, you can redo it. So shout out to Disum, big graffiti artist out here. He went ahead and redid it, and he was doing some, just painting some different stuff on there. This is
Oh, because
crazy hood.
it was at Lincoln's Beard again.
Yeah. But what we did is
Oh.
we blocked off the street in front of it, and it was a block party.
Oh, got
Yeah. The front is where the main thing was on the street, like the whole block. Um, so he was cool enough to like I was showing the kids, look at he did like a cartoon version of me, and like it says Crazy Hood, and the kids were like bugging out because they had seen the other mural. And then he was cool enough to say, "Hey, let do they want to spray paint?" So he was really good with the kids. He must do something with kids like that because he was really good. And then they got to spray paint a little bit. Uh,
Oh, that's dope.
yeah, and so it was cool. And then my daughters told my wife something about like, "We're gonna go where Daddy's the boss." um,
That's accurate.
nah, I mean not necessarily, but to an extent, I understand why she says that. So that was cool, and then they left shortly after. They didn't stay too long. They ate there, and then they left. Cool, cool little experience. And then what was the other thing I wanted to bring up fatherly to you?
That's dope, man.
It was something else, man. Se me fue de la mente ahora. Oh, on Drink Champs, we had uh we had Lincoln Park. Well, two
Oh,
two of the
wow.
founding members, the DJ and Mike Shinoda.
Hmm.
Um, and the first thing, one of the main things we like, they got there early, not early, actually. Nori got there late, so they were there, and we had some time to kill before Nori got there. And the dude was, we just started talking about being fathers and like parenting, which was crazy. And then Rec was there, it was his birthday, recognized for
Right.
Mayday,
Yeah.
and Mike has twins, and then Rec has twins. So then, like the whole conversation started being about fatherhood. It was like it could have
That's
been a
dope.
perfect fatherhood episode. And I was telling him some, he was like, "Oh, where do you live in Miami?" And I was explaining where Kendall is, and I'm like, "Yeah, but I kind of want to move the family out." He's like, "Yeah, you don't think Miami's a good spot for raising kids?" I'm like, "It's cool, but and I'm trying to explain things and explain then he started asking me like the dynamic of the Drink Champ schedule and parent, like we talked about parenting, and so it was interesting to talk about that with homie. And
That's dope.
it all comes back to fatherhood.
Yo, it's kind of what it is, bro. Like, can't run from it. You could try.
Yeah,
It's
nah.
always there.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
How think about, like, just curious in that moment, right? Like, because you're locked in on drink champs mode, right?
Right.
And I know it's not the first time that it happened. Like, I'm sure it happens more often than you might mention. But when you have that not deflection, but like that tangent, right, about parenting that pops up, do you find that opens up the opportunity more with the guests for a bigger conversation, or does it kind of switch up how you think about approaching the conversation, the drink champs conversation, if that comes into play?
It depends on where it happens. Like this to happen off camera.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it happens on camera, then we could, I would love to dive into it if the person seems like they're really into it.
Into it.
So oftentimes Nori will probably like maybe shift the conversation a little bit,
Yeah, to
just
go more hip hop.
yeah, to get it into where he thinks it'll be more interesting to the broader audience, which,
Right.
which I understand. But me personally, like I like to dig into like the dynamics of being a parent in this entertainment world, and what do they, like. In fact, I didn't do it. These guys are about to go they're on a 69 city tour, international tour, right?
Oh
69
wow.
cities.
Wow.
Like, how does that play with being a parent? I didn't get into I think he told me the ages, but I don't remember. And then the DJ, homie's name is Joe. He has kids, I believe, if I'm not wrong. But I would love to know, like, what is that? Like, how, the touring, and these guys are hella successful. They're very successful band.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wonder, like, at a point I start to always say to myself, like, I get you're successful. I understand the business you're in, but when you've accumulated enough wealth, do you still need to go away that much? And if you do, like, do you take the family? Do you not take? Like, is it worth being away? And those are things I contemplate all the time. Like, I don't know, man. Life just seems so short that I don't know that wanting to, leaving for the sake of bringing back bread, if it's worth it. That, like you couldn't make a certain amount of money, even if I made less, but I'm more present,
Yep.
but less meaning enough to
Yeah.
to handle things. I would go with the less over the, oh, I'm gonna do this and come back with all this money. But then what? That all that time that you took away
Yes.
from your family. At least when kids are a certain age. That's I've been really like thinking about that so much. I mean, since the kids were born, basically.
It is very stage oriented, because after,
No
like, if
pun
you're
intended.
huh.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Stage.
Yeah, yeah. Because after they go to college, for example, like my wife and I, we talk about this all the time. Like, we'll say, like, oh, I want to, like, there's a big conference that I want to go to in France, right?
Hmm.
And but I don't want to just go to that conference. I want to use that as the opportunity to then expand into like a vacation while we're out there, and bring my wife. She never comes with me when I travel to places. And I'm always trying to figure out, like, how do we make it work? And the kids are a little older. We're now, we'll feel more comfortable leaving them with my mom or anything. Not because we didn't have any comfort with my mom staying with them, just we don't want to impose, because our
Right. They're
kids at a certain
self-sufficient.
age. Yeah, and our kids
And
at a
maybe could be
certain
helpful to your mom.
exactly. And my mom, my mom's older. I don't want her having to deal with
Right.
running around with little brats. So that was always a consideration. But then now it's like, all right, when all the kids, now we're talking like when all the kids are in college or out of college, not necessarily out of the home, because those are two different things these days. Um, we could go here and over there, and like we kind of got a bucket list already, and it's a whole different mind shift, because she, especially her, would never leave the kids, spend the night anywhere that the kids weren't with us. Like, we might go out to the city, spend a couple hours, and then always come back before kids
Right.
went to bed. And we did that for the first time last year when we went to Colombia, just my wife and I. We had a great time, and she was chill. Like, it wasn't anything crazy. But I was actually pretty surprised, because she just would never let go like that. And so now we got plans and shit for down the road, like where we're gonna end up. So it's tough, man. But like, from a like, I find fatherhood in my line of work, fatherhood is a huge differentiator and connector to good business. Like, because I'm so passionate about it and people can see that it's not like something I just mentioned because I happen to have kids, right? And when I click with people that are feeling a similar way, like, I find it to be a great starting point to open up a conversation. And that leads us into really connected kind of discussions that are very organic and genuine that create opportunities for good business to happen. And I don't do it with that intention, because I just wear fatherhood on my sleeve. Like, this is just what I enjoy doing and who I am. And the people that are in the same, path, they kind of gravitate toward it. So I that's why I asked you about on set, like, when that pops off, how does that? Because for me, it fuels me. Like, if I'm here and like, if we're having an interview with somebody and we're here, I mean, in our case, we're talking about fatherhood, so the level's up already for me. But like, if we get into some stuff where there's like connections and similar types of styles or whatever, like, it just hypes me up. I'll leave the conversation like super amped up.
Well, I can tell you, for me, like, if you run into a person and you share the same sentiment, and I don't want to say the word passion, but the same family values of being a father, I think that says a lot about the other person, and you can already add a level of trust to that person that you
100%.
wouldn't. Another person that doesn't act like that, have those values, like, automatic. I don't care where they come from in the world.
Yep.
If you both can be on the same page with fatherhood, then, and I mean that in a more positive way. Like,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have
yeah.
they're more hands on, they're more proactive, they really care. And even if there could be a someone that really cares about fatherhood, but they look at it totally different than you, that might be an indicator that business won't work either. Because
Absolutely.
there's the parent, there's the person you might run into, like, for me, that be like, yeah, I love my kids, man. Everything I do is for my kids. That's why I go on the road, 360 days out the year, because they don't need me, they need the money. Like, I don't agree with that bullshit,
I don't see that.
or someone's just like, yeah, I love my children, I love my family, but I'm not about to take care of my kids at home because I got things to do. I'm not about to change diapers. I'm not about to do this. Like, no disrespect to Saif,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. Sight.
you know, he's kind of an exception to the rule. But yeah, like, I can't vibe with that. Like, I don't agree with that at all. So that's an indicator of, whether a business relationship would work even with people.
Yeah.
But but yeah, man, I mean, that those conversations do help, and are helpful.
Yeah. Totally. All right,
Yeah,
boss.
man.
I gotta go pick up the kids, but catch you next week.
Yep. Fatherhood.
Fatherhoods.
No pepperoni.